They called him untouchable, smart, the man who could manipulate any room. But today, Edward Osefo watched everything he built collapse right there in front of him. The court was packed, whispers bouncing off the walls, as Wendy Osefo stepped forward, calm, composed, carrying a USB that could end it all. For years, everyone believed Edward was the mastermind, untouchable and untarnished. But the proof Wendy held told a different story. CCTV footage, fake insurance documents, recordings of Edward plotting, all undeniable, all damning. The murmurs grew louder as the evidence played, and suddenly the world saw Edward for what he truly was. Fans, journalists, even former allies gasped the empire of lies was crumbling. And then, just as the room seemed to catch its breath, Wendy leaned in and whispered to the judge, "There's one more thing you need to hear." Silence fell, hearts raced, and everyone knew the storm was far from over. It started long before the courtroom doors even opened. Behind the headlines, behind the glamorous reality TV smiles, a storm had been brewing in the Osefo household. Friends close to Wendy remember the first warning signs, late-night phone calls Edward would hide, sudden secrecy about finances, whispered conversations in corners. "I didn't think much of it at first," Wendy confided to a friend months ago. "I trusted him completely. Edward handled everything, the investments, the insurance paperwork, even the storage units where their most valuable possessions were kept." Wendy never questioned it. Until the night it all changed. Edward came home, eyes wide, hands shaking slightly, voice tight with urgency. They broke in. "Everything, gone," he said, pointing to the empty display cases of jewelry, the vanished luxury bags stacked in the hall. "Don't panic. I called the insurance company. We'll be fine," he assured her, and Wendy believed him. She signed papers he placed before her, trusting him to protect them both. Weeks later, the payout hit their account, 6 figures, but the relief was short-lived. Investigators discovered the same luxury items, hidden away in a storage unit rented under Edward's name. Suddenly, Wendy wasn't just the wife of a wealthy man. She was the accused. The whispers started on social media instantly. Fans debated. She built her brand on honesty, on education. "How could this be?" one wrote. Another said, "Edward set her up. Look at him in the court footage, cold, calm, untouchable, while she breaks down." It wasn't just the public eye that turned against her. Insiders whispered about Edward's icy demeanor, how rehearsed his statements were, how he almost seemed to anticipate every question. Then came the first shocking clue, a leaked message from Edward to someone labeled only as M. "Once she signs everything, it's done. You're in the clear," it read. Wendy's supporters speculated endlessly. Could M be Monique Samuels, the rival she had clashed with on The Real Housewives of Potomac? For weeks, Wendy went silent. No posts, no statements, no contact with Bravo. Then a shaky voice note leaked, Wendy's voice, trembling and broken. "I trusted him. I signed everything because I thought we were a team. He sold me out." The nation listened in horror as the woman who had championed honesty, education, and empowerment appeared shattered. Court documents revealed the extent of Edward's deception, offshore accounts, money transfers, and fraudulent claims tied directly to the insurance payout. Every trail led to him. Yet, because Wendy's signature was on every document, she bore the brunt of the accusations. Fans expressed disbelief, some defending her, others condemning her. She was set up, one typed furiously on X, "He's the mastermind," another argued, pointing to Edward's calm expressions in court videos. And break down she did. During her final pretrial appearance, Wendy's voice cracked, tears streaming down her face. "I never touched that money. I never hid anything. The man I loved made me believe a lie," she said, voice barely above a whisper. Betrayal wasn't just legal, it was intimate, personal. Friends revealed that Wendy had discovered Edward had been secretly in touch with Monique Samuels for months, and the night before the court hearing, she confronted him. "You used me as a pawn for your mess," she yelled, shattering the private room with her pain. Witnesses reported Edward didn't respond, only standing there silently, cold and unflinching. That was the moment Wendy made a choice. She would speak. Not for headlines, not for cameras, but to expose the man who destroyed her life and the secret alliance that helped him do it. In her final leaked message before the trial, she whispered through tears and resolve, "He wanted me to drown in the scandal. But he doesn't know I'm taking everyone down with me." And with that, the stage was set. The world watched. The whispers of betrayal and conspiracy, the hints of a secret alliance, the damning evidence all ready to be unveiled. Wendy Osefo was no longer the silent victim. She was a storm waiting to break. The courtroom buzzed with tension as Wendy's lawyer stood, USB in hand, ready to drop the bombshell. "Your Honor," he began, voice steady but charged with electricity, "what we are about to present changes everything you thought you knew about this case." Gasps rippled through the room. Cameras swiveled, fans leaned in closer to screens, and social media exploded. The USB was plugged in. Immediately, a CCTV footage played, shaky but undeniable. Edward, moving through the storage unit at night, carrying boxes he claimed had been stolen, stacking them with precision, cataloging them meticulously. Documents labeled as insurance claims floated across the screen, false entries, fake signatures, and manipulated valuations. The courtroom fell silent. For months, the public had seen Edward as the devoted husband, calm, untouchable. Now, the truth stared everyone in the face. Wendy sat forward, eyes brimming with tears but burning with defiance. This is why I was silent," she whispered to her lawyer. Her fans online erupted. Comments flooded with disbelief, anger, and support. She finally has proof. Edward is finished. How could Monique be involved in this? And that's when the second twist landed. Another file appeared on the USB, leaked DMs between Edward and Monique Samuels. "Once she signs, it's over. You know the plan," one message read. Another, "No mistakes this time. We stay ahead, we stay safe." The air in the courtroom thickened. Murmurs, gasps, whispers, everyone understood the magnitude of what they were witnessing. Monique, previously the antagonist in reality TV gossip, was now a player in real, legal stakes. Wendy's lawyer looked at her, nodded subtly, and then addressed the judge. "Your Honor, we have more." Audio recordings from Edward's phone, conversations confirming his orchestration of the so-called theft and manipulation of Wendy. The judge leaned forward. "Proceed." The room filled with Edward's smug voice, overlaid with faint laughter. "She'll never see it coming. Sign these papers. She thinks she's protecting us, but it's all set. Once it's done, we're clear." Wendy's hands trembled, but her voice didn't waver when she whispered to herself, "I knew it all along." Outside, the digital world erupted. Clips of the leaked DMs, CCTV footage, and recordings were shared millions of times. Fans debated, speculated, and rallied. "Justice for Wendy," they typed. Monique knew all along, others claimed. The narrative had shifted. Wendy was no longer just defending herself. She was exposing a web of betrayal that no one had seen coming. And yet, the darkest moment was yet to come. The final file on the USB remained unopened. Wendy's lawyer held it, turning toward her with a grave expression. "This," he said, "is the last piece. It's not for the faint of heart." Wendy inhaled sharply. Her supporters held their collective breath online. The room went completely silent, every eye fixed on the USB, every mind racing. Because as everyone realized, when this last piece is revealed, it could destroy not just Edward, not just Monique, but the very foundation of everything Wendy had once believed was safe. The air felt heavy with anticipation, and the world waited for the final strike that would end the game, or perhaps reveal even deeper betrayal. The courtroom lights felt blinding, yet Wendy's gaze never wavered. She sat rigid, shoulders squared, as her lawyer placed the final USB before the judge. "Your Honor," he said, voice echoing through the silent room, "what you are about to hear and see confirms the full scope of the conspiracy against my client." The air thickened with tension. Edward's eyes darted nervously. Monique, seated across the room, stiffened, lips pressed tight. The playback began. The first clip was a recording, Edward's voice, calm, rehearsed, sinister. Make sure she signs it tonight. Nothing can go wrong. Monique has it covered. Wendy's hands clenched into fists. Her heart pounded, not with fear, but with a growing surge of righteous anger. The truth, once buried, now pierced the walls of deception. Next, CCTV footage flashed. Edward walking through storage units under the cover of darkness, lifting boxes, carefully documenting items he'd claimed stolen, placing them into hidden lockers. Each frame screamed betrayal, meticulously crafted to frame Wendy. The courtroom erupted, whispers, gasps, shocked murmurs filled the space. Social media screens outside lit up like wildfire. Hashtags trended instantly. Hashtag Edward exposed. Hashtag justice for Wendy. Hashtag Monique involved. Then came the most damning revelation. A series of emails and text messages appeared, showing a clear, orchestrated plan. Monique, once a mere rival in reality TV drama, had been actively coordinating with Edward. She signs, "We're in the clear," one text read. Another, "Make sure the storage units match the claim." The betrayal cut deeper than anyone expected. Wendy's voice, steady but edged with pain, broke the silence. "I trusted both of you, and you used my life as a game." The judge's gavel hit the desk, demanding silence. "This case," he said, "requires further investigation. Both parties will remain under scrutiny. No one will leave this courtroom until clarity is reached." Wendy's lawyer slid forward one last piece of evidence, the final recording, the true game changer. The room grew colder, heavier. Edward's voice filled the courtroom again, this time in an audio clip where he sounded panicked. "They think Wendy's innocent. They have no idea. This isn't over." Then Monique's voice interjected, calm but chilling. "Don't worry, everything is covered. She'll never expose us." Wendy exhaled slowly, a single tear running down her cheek. She had anticipated deception, but hearing it confirmed in her rivals' voices sent shivers down her spine. A hush fell. Everyone realized the betrayal was far more calculated than anyone could have imagined. Wendy, holding herself together, whispered to her attorney, "I won't let them control this story any longer." Her lawyer nodded. "You've exposed the truth. That's what matters." Outside, the digital world was in chaos. Clips of the leaks were shared millions of times. Viewers debated, dissected every word, every frame. But within the courtroom, reality was sharper, harsher. Edward's confident smirk was gone. He looked small, cornered, stripped of the illusion of control. Monique's usual bravado faltered. Her eyes betrayed fear she couldn't hide. And then came the final twist. The courtroom screens displayed the contents of an offshore account, MO Holdings, the initials unmistakably Monique's. The funds flowed directly from the fraudulent insurance claims. Wendy's jaw tightened. The room collectively gasped. What had been a personal betrayal was now undeniable proof of collusion, and no one could escape its shadow. The judge leaned back, voice heavy. "This case will continue over the coming months. Evidence has been secured. Witnesses will be called. A final verdict will require careful deliberation." Wendy exhaled, a mix of relief and exhaustion washing over her. Justice was not yet served, but the balance had shifted. As cameras clicked and reporters murmured, Wendy's final words cut through the tension. "They thought I was powerless. They thought silence would make me disappear. But I have nothing left to lose, and now I have the truth." Outside the court, whispers began circulating. Edward disappeared days later. Monique vanished from public view. But one chilling detail remained. Wendy had received an anonymous encrypted message on her phone. It read simply, "This is only the beginning. Not everyone is who they seem." The story was far from over. The betrayal had been exposed, but the war had just begun. And as Wendy's haunting words echoed in the silent courtroom, the world realized the final act had yet to be written. The courtroom erupted, evidence laid bare, betrayal exposed, and yet the story isn't over. Wendy Osefo stood tall, tears in her eyes, but fire in her soul, proving that the lies, the manipulation, the secret alliances could not break her. Edward's schemes are unmasked, Monique's complicity revealed, and the offshore accounts finally exposed. But here's the question that hangs over everything. Where did the last anonymous message come from? Who is truly orchestrating the shadows behind the scenes? The next chapter promises more secrets, more shocking revelations, and perhaps even someone no one sees coming stepping out of the darkness. Wendy's fight isn't finished. Every move she makes, every truth she reveals, could change the game entirely. If you want to hear the next leaked conversation, or see what's hidden behind the encrypted messages, comment below. This isn't just an ending, it's the beginning of the reckoning, and you won't want to miss what drops next.